As I figure we can get started. Everybody's okay with that? Awesome. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, good afternoon. I would say good evening, and depending on where you're joining us, good morning. But thank you for joining us, the New York City Data Academy, for our event today. My name is Noah Escobar. I'm part of the admissions team. Very excited to have you all and meet you all virtually. And we're definitely very excited to have a great speaker today who will be, teaching us a bit more in regards to choosing effective data visualization. And my portion here, I'll try not to steal so much time away from her, but I do want to share some information in regards to the New York City Data Science Academy. Okay, so before we do begin, I always like to make sure that I'm keeping today's event as engaging as possible. So I do encourage everyone to hop on our chat box and ask any questions. Very important, okay? Make sure that you have it set to all panelists and attendees. That way that we're all able to view any questions, and also anyone from the panel will be able to address them. So if everyone can kind of just, if it hasn't been done, I would love for everyone to just jump on the chat box and let us know where you're joining us from today. That would be great. So while we all get acquainted, let me share my screen real quick. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Yes? Okay, awesome. So I want to start off by saying who we are, right? So the New York City Data Science Academy is an educational training and career development institution that offers both an in-person and online data science bootcamp. One thing that I am very proud to announce, if you haven't seen it already on your screen, the New York City Data Science Academy is the only accredited data science academy. So we are extremely excited about that offering and to be able to bring that to the table to all of our potential students. It is something that we are extremely proud of. Additionally, New York City Data Science Academy is the only bootcamp that continues to teach both Python and R languages. We also offer a hands-on experience while working on 4 industry projects that also include a capstone. And that really allows our students to create and extend their professional portfolio. So for those who are looking to just expand their careers or transition into a new career, you definitely are coming to the right place. Additionally, we do offer lifelong career support, and that provides you to access to our over 500 hiring partners and throughout the globe in the States. And then, I'm also very proud to mention, additionally to our accreditation, that we, for the 5 years running, we have been named the best data science bootcamp, and for 2 years running, the best online data science bootcamp by SwitchUp. So I'd like to just reference my screen real quick and share in regards to our offerings. So the New York City Data Science Academy is currently offering 2 types of bootcamp. So our flagship continues to be our data science with machine learning bootcamp. For those who are interested in that offering, we do have some upcoming cohorts if you are interested in applying. We do have the upcoming winter cohort, which will begin on January 3rd and run through March 25th. And we have set the application deadline to December 27th. So for those of you who are interested in that, you do have enough time to connect with one of our admissions advisors and walk you through the admissions process and kind of just offer some guidance and orientation on how to best complete the process and get you started for that cohort. If you're looking to start a bit later, we do offer the spring quarter, which will take place on March 28th and run until June 17th with the application deadline of March 21st. It is, as I mentioned, also offered online. So for those of you who have the opportunity to join us online, the next cohort taking place is November 8th. And that runs on a full-time schedule, which is our 16-week online program. And that runs from November 8th to March 4th. And you have until November 1st, which is around the corner. So I do encourage anyone who's interested in pursuing that to submit an application. And then lastly, and surely not least, we have our part-time option, which is our 24-week option. So that will run from November 8th through April 29th and has the same application deadline of November 1st. So that's a little bit in regards to the upcoming cohorts. It's as simple as clicking apply now, submitting an application. booking an interview, and then having an opportunity to connect with someone from admissions like myself, as well as the remaining admissions team, and just getting to know you a bit better and making sure that we can make this process as seamless as possible. And secondly, we do offer a data analytics bootcamp. Very popular. It's definitely picking up steam and has become one of our additionally to the data science and machine learning bootcamp, this is definitely following suit. So it is offered as an in-person 7-week program, as well as a online experience at a self-paced 12-week offering. Our next cohorts, similarly to the data science and machine learning, this one is also set to begin from November 8th to December 29th, followed by our winter cohort, which is January 3rd through February 18th. They both have different application deadlines. Of course, this one, the mid-quarter one, you have until November 1st to submit an application, and the winter will remain with December 27th. So anyone who is interested in pursuing a bootcamp in data analytics, this is definitely the path to you. The path for you. In the event that you're still exploring your options, I will drop a link in the chat so you can always book some time for an info call and connect with someone from the admissions team to be able to walk you through the processes and what would be the best option for you. Okay. Additionally to the bootcamp offerings, we do also offer professional development courses. So in the event that you are liking what you hear today from Gabby, and I'm sure everyone will, we do have some individual offerings to take advantage of, whether it's something more prep, more introductory, beginner, and even intermediate. We have something that fits the bill. So in the event that you are still up in the air as to what suits you best, we do have a very, very detailed site for you to be able to explore not only our boot camps, but our professional development courses, and get familiarized with what each of them entail, going from the platform to the meeting portals to the community interaction and who we're partnered up with. And it's always great to meet our alumni, and you have access to all of this information on the site. And then this is one of the fields that I really enjoy in choosing the path that's right for you. So it's a great breakdown, and that really gives you a quick summary of what might be the best fit for you. And as I mentioned, if you are interested in one of these offerings, you can always click that apply now button. It takes, some time to get through the application, book your interview with us, and you'll be connected with us a lot sooner than you can imagine. But in the event you still have some questions, even after today, please click on that schedule a call button, and we'd be more than happy to connect with you on an info call and definitely offer some guidance and some possible next steps. Okay, so without taking up more time than I should, I do want to make sure that everyone enjoys today's session. Again, you'll be, hearing from one of our assistant instructors, Gabriela Morales, aka Gabby, on choosing effective data visualization. And I'll be here to, address any questions that you might have. So please feel free to connect via chat, and I'll also drop some links for you guys to take advantage of. Okay, so with that being said, Gabby, I'll pass it on to you, and I'll now stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Noe. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm really excited to see we have people from everywhere around the States and other continents. This is very exciting for me. So I will start by sharing my presentation. Let's see. I just need to get through this first step successfully. Let's see if I can. There. Okay. Are you guys seeing my presentation?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So, yay. I'm very happy to see someone from the the bootcamp cohort that I was in, Jane Dickinson. She's joining us today. Also, I see some people that are currently enrolled in the bootcamp. So I'm really happy. Like Jennifer, she's here. I'm very happy to see everybody joining, and I hope you enjoy this webinar today. Actually, it's my first one, so you guys get to join me on this. Thank you. Okay, so welcome everyone. As I said, today's webinar is titled Choosing an Effective Visualization. My name is Gabby, and I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's degree in chemical pharmaceutical biology. Then I did a PhD on biomedical sciences in Mexico. I came to the US to do a postdoctoral training in molecular genetics and biology in the University of Minnesota. And I was doing so much science in the wet lab that I found myself very stuck in one niche, and I needed to expand, and I needed to look into something that had more applications in the real world. So I joined the bootcamp, and I think it was the best choice for me. It has opened so many possibilities career-wise for me, which that's what I was expecting. It was very, very intense. A lot of information to learn, so many new things, which was an amazing experience to share with the cohort of students that went together through this trip, or our transition to the data science and data analytics world. But yeah, I just wanted to give you this a little bit of my background. And then I was lucky, super lucky, that the New York City Data Science Academy needed an assistant instructor, and I was very lucky and got in. I can tell you it's a fantastic team, and they're all here, all the instructors, everyone at the admissions officers. They're very wonderful, and they are here to really answer all your questions, and we are here also for that. Okay, so without further ado, I will get started with the content of the webinar, actually. So I want to start by saying how important it is for us to present our work as data scientists or just a professional. It's so super important to be able to communicate your results in an efficient way. If you can't communicate your results, it's almost as if you hadn't produced them. So really getting your results through the target audience is one of the most important steps. If you miss it, then your work was worthless. So if you're gonna take one thing out of this presentation, I want it to be this. When you're choosing an effective visualization, you need to think about these three things. First, the question that you're gonna answer, and that could be a business problem, just a general problem that you're trying to solve, or a bunch of questions that you need an answer to. So think about that question before you actually just produce a bunch of charts. Then think about what's the relevant information that you need to answer that question, to solve that problem. And think about the quality of the data you're getting. If you put bad data in, your visualization is gonna be bad, your result is gonna be bad. So think about quality of data and that the data is relevant to the question you're asking. And third, you need to think about the target audience. So you want to be very careful when you're preparing your presentations to not make it too technical if you're not gonna present to technical audience. If it's lay audience, you need to make things simple so they understand easily. That's easy for them to digest, to ingest the content you're giving them. You want to make it easy. You don't want to make it hard. Don't make them work. They're already paying attention. They're here for you, so you make it easy for them. So think about these three things before presenting anything. Now, I want to emphasize that the word effective, it just takes a meaning in a specific context. So you need to think about these things: the target audience, the historical moment, what's happening around this, your company, the specific time. for it to be effective, you need to communicate effective, like the target audience needs to get that that information. So yeah, I just wanted to emphasize, like, effective can have various meanings, and as long as you communicate your information, then your communication has been effective and the visualization works. So there's no right answer for what's effective and what's not. Now, I want to tell you, you can present your results in a different variety of ways. You can write them down, you can have oral presentations, you can have tables, plots, and other media. But you still need to think about these three things before you present. In this presentation, this webinar, I'm going to be focusing on the plots, on graphs. And this is one of the more flashy and more useful ways of communicating your results, because they usually, if you make them nice and useful enough and effective, they will stand by themselves. So you won't need to explain this graph or your results. If you have a very effective visualization, it will stand by itself. And that's the way you could tell, like, did it work or did it not? So, but I wanted to emphasize there are other ways to present your results that might be effective as well. I'm going to give you many examples across different industries. And I'm going to give you guys a few choices, usually two choices between two graphs that are showing the exact same data. And I want you guys to vote in the chat, one or two, or depending on the options. I want you guys to participate and let me know what you think on each one of them. But I'll start with this example, which is the negative sentiment on airlines. Let's pretend we're a consulting company that wants to sell a program to improve the user experience to the airlines. As you know, this is very important, especially now with fewer flights going around and fewer people willing to risk flying. Really, you need to have a very good user experience to keep the clients. So what is the user satisfaction with the airlines in the US? That's our question that we want to answer. And first, before we do anything, we want to know what's the reactions of the clients on social media. So here in point number 2, we're gonna use the natural language processing of users' reaction on social media, specifically in Twitter. And we're gonna present, this is the target audience. We're gonna present this to a business team of, say, American Airlines. So it's sort of a lay audience. They're not data scientists or programmers, so don't show them any code, don't show them very technical things. You want to show them the big picture. So think about that. I told you, you get the relevant data. This is relevant data. It's very important to answer our question. This is what you get in, this is R. All the plots that I made is R in R language. And here is a just a piece of the data set. So this is one thing you could show. Here we have a data set, and this will be important to answer our question. We have the tweet ID, the sentiment, if it's neutral, negative, or positive. We have the confidence on that decision, negative reason, negative confidence, airline, name of the person who tweeted. So all these things. And also, like, if you show a lot of data like this, there's very small text. There's big numbers here. What does this even mean? Why is name relevant here? So I just wanted to show you this because I want to give you an example of something that doesn't work. You could present this, but this is not useful and this is not what you need. So you need this to do the analysis, to get the answers, but please don't present this because it will be over people's head and you're not sending the right message. Now, to really get a meaningful message, you need to analyze this data in some way, group it. We call it data mangling, or yeah, just different kinds of agrupations and summary of the data, which you will learn if you join the data analytics bootcamp or the data science bootcamps. So you will learn how to deal with these big data sets and how to present it, like compress it, summarize, and group in a meaningful way. So I did it in this way. I was just interested in the percentage of negative tweets. So for example, you could say just number of negative tweets, but that doesn't mean anything if American Airlines has 10 times as many as Virgin America. So you want something that's like a ratio. And in this case, is the percentage of negative tweets. Percentage is a ratio, so you can say like how many out of the total for each airline get negative tweets. And I can tell you, American Airlines had 71% of negative tweets, which is pretty high. US Airways even higher. Virgin America was the one with the lowest percentage of negative tweets. So say instead of presenting this table to you, I could just tell you US Airways had 77.7% of negative tweets and Virgin America 35%. So I could present orally and nobody would complain, but 5 seconds later, nobody would remember what I said. So having one of these simple tables works. But what's even better? A visualization. And here, I'll show you 2 different graphs that are showing the same thing. They're showing the negative sentiment of airlines in percentage for all the airlines that I told you about. Now, I'd like... Karim has had a very bad experience with American Airlines. Yeah, I know, me too. Okay, now here's where I want you guys to vote. Do you choose number 1 or number 2? Which one do you like better? And if you want to type in what reasons you have, tell me please. Okay, there, I see 2. Yeah, 2. This is funny. Okay, number 2. Okay, it seems like everybody's going for number 2. Yeah, and I think a lot of the people joining today have this OTC. You like order. Yes, as humans, I think most of us just like clean lines and order arrangement, and that helps you to make a comparison between the endpoints of each column and see which one of the airlines has the most and which one has the least. So having an order is pretty nice. You can actually tell, like, is this difference bigger than this difference, So you can compare very meticulously each one of the columns. Number 1 makes Americans stand out. Yeah, that's right, JM. Number 1 is also a way, if you want to emphasize one of the columns, you could do it this way or even change colors. We'll talk about colors later, but number 1 and number 2, I'm telling you, there's no one right answer. Usually we would lean for number 2, say, but think about another thing that you want to show. Maybe you want to show also number of tweets per airline, and you want to show it below, like that graph, and then underneath that, you want to show number of tweets. Well, you want to be consistent and have US Airways first. So even if US Airways has less number of tweets than American, so your graph that you would put here would be different. It wouldn't be as ordered as the first one, but you want consistency. So in that case, you would choose consistency of the position of the columns over the order of these the columns. So there are times that you will have to choose this kind of bar chart. Another thing that I wanted to tell you is that bar charts are in general the best, easiest visualization of all of them. Like, they're very intuitive to everyone. And even if you're not good with numbers, or you just don't like looking at the axis, or you're not familiar with graphs at all, if you're like, you don't have a very technical background, these kinds of charts are relatable to almost anyone. So you can see bigger is more and smaller is less. So this is sort of very intuitive. Now, I wanted to go in detail. Now here, let's say, because we're presenting this to American Airlines, we want to emphasize the differences between American and United. Let's say we don't want to be second. We want to be United. So let's look at this big difference. And I'm interested in this gap, 68.9 to 71. So here's a way to show these differences, but this is another way, and I'm showing the exact same thing here. So please vote here. Would you rather have number 1 or number 2 for that comparison? Number 1. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, exactly. If what I want is to emphasize this difference, number 1 is good. But you guys have a good eye, and you have noticed that these percentages go from 65% to 80%. So you see that I zoomed in right here, like I made a little box here. So you don't actually get the whole column as a fair reference, which could be tricky and could be misleading. If I'm telling you, okay guys, I zoomed in, and actually you're looking at just a fraction, and check it out. So that's fair game. But if you guys are just like printing this graph to send an poster about, I don't know, COVID-19 cases in your area, you don't want to be misleading, because most people won't be looking at the detail of the numbers in the axis. So you want to be fair and show actually the context of the entire bar. So again, I'm telling you, depends on the context and where you want to show it, to whom you want to show it. Whoopsie, no, which one you will choose. Yeah, so by the way, you will have access to all the code with which I generated these graphs. And not only, well, this would be free for all of you that attended today, but if you join the bootcamp, you will actually be able to make them with your own data, and make a lot of different kinds of graphs. We actually spend a lot of time making graphs, which was something that I truly enjoyed, just making them look nice. Yes, it's one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, you get access to all of these kinds of data visualization tools. Now, oh, you like making the Ebtism likes to make the graphs as well. Well, we're in the same team. Okay, let's switch to law firm finances. I'm not a finance person and biology, so this is hard for me, but there's a lot of people from finances that really find useful getting into data science. Like, that's booming. Most of the people, I think a big chunk of our cohort, my cohort, and the next one were economics and finance majors. They were the ones who got who got jobs the fastest. So, yeah. Okay, let's talk about this problem. We want to show what's the impact of each transaction category in the cash position of our company to identify areas of improvement. As our relevant data, we have the summary of the company's transactions, which is this table. We're presenting to a multidisciplinary team at the company. So again, there's no one who's only finances and nothing else. This is sort of a lay audience again. And the data is the description of each category, the type of the transaction, which is net, in or out, and the amount of dollars. Okay, so I will show you the graphs again and you will vote. These two are made with exactly the same data, which is the data I showed you above or before. Please vote. Do you like 1? Do you like 2? Why? 2. Well, number 1 looks fun. Yes, number 2. 2. Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay, Karim says number 2 because it starts at the base. That's right. So it's easier to understand for us. Number 2 because they all start at 0 and you can see, okay, you gain some in starting cash, you gain some in sales, lost some in refunds, lost in payouts, lost in court losses, etc., etc. In number 1 is actually a very popular kind of graph in finances, and people usually like it because at each column starts at the end point of the last one. So you can see you started here, and when you sum 3,400 more, you're up here. You lost some, so you end up here. You lost some more, so end up here. Lost some more. So it just takes you along the way, all the way to the end to see how much you have at the end. So number 1 works with the 0 axis mark. Okay. Yeah. Stephen knows this kind of chart. It's called a waterfall chart. And people use it with these kinds of categories. I think it's even nicer when it's used over time. So you can actually see how the money goes down, up, and it makes more sense to me when you use it with the x-axis being the time, because it's a sort of a trend. But you can use it with categories and it's the same. So some people like this, especially in finance, they're used to seeing this. As a scientist, biologist, I would also go for this one. But here is where the third point comes into action. Mind your target audience. If they're in the finance world, they will be used to this one and they like it. So go for this one. Or if your boss doesn't like this waterfall, then you go for this one. So again, think about those 3 things. In this case, I want to talk about something else, the color. The use of color is one of the most important things in a chart. Being consistent with the use of color among your, like if you have these categories everywhere in your presentation and you want to show something about them, make sure that you stay consistent, and maybe contracts are always yellow and court wins are always in purple. And if you make that, it will be much easier for the audience to follow you all the way through, as opposed to changing the color scheme. It's just one more tool that will help you. Okay. what else was I gonna say? No, I think that's it. Now, we have been looking at graphs that have categorical in the x-axis versus numerical variables or features. Yeah, I can use variables or features interchangeably, and if you join our bootcamp, data science especially, we'll talk a lot about features instead of variables, but they're essentially the same. Just they're independent variables, the features. Yeah, so join if you want to learn more about those distinctions. Okay, we've seen these categorical versus numerical variables. Now we're gonna take a look at numerical versus numerical variables. In this example, we work in a company, like a little market, a little store, and we want to add diamonds to our inventory. We want to make the smallest investment possible to gain the biggest profit possible, which is usually the goal of selling. The database we're gonna use to choose which kinds of diamonds we're gonna be purchasing to sell is the database of diamond features and prices. We're gonna present this to the company's CEO to convince her or him of which types of diamonds we should invest in. So here we have a data set that's very big, and here's only the description of the data set. It's not the data set itself. We have these 4 variables that we're gonna use. The price, that's a numerical variable. The carat, which is also a numerical, which is the weight of the diamond. The cut, which is the quality of the cut, which is a category from fair to ideal. And the color, which is also like the opacity of the diamond. That's also a category from J to D. J being the less nice and D being the clearest color of them. So can anyone tell me what's the best chart type to visualize price versus carat, which is numerical versus numerical? Line? Well, yes, you can make a line. Scatter plot. Yes, scatter plot with a line. You guys, you got it as a team. Okay, here. We want to, you want to plot every single point on our data set, which are a lot. I think it's thousands of points. And here you have a linear regression line. So if you want to learn about linear regression and what that is, actually you can join the data analytics bootcamp, and also the data science bootcamp. Will both go through it because it's the simpler of all the machine learning models, and it's the most easy to interpret. Oh, JM wants to be in the team as well. You are. Now, yeah, so you got all these points, which each one belongs to one single diamond and their price. This line is a regression line, which shows you the general, like this line is the one that adjusts the best to the data we have. So if you wanted to just say which is the behavior of price versus carat, you can say as carat increases, price increases. And this is a very obvious positive slope. But this graph is kind of ugly. Yeah, you should add opacity to the scatter plot. Don't get ahead, Karim. Let's start with the ugly first, and then we'll make it better. Okay, so this looks ugly. First of all, we don't have anything above $20,000, which, I mean, we should have some more expensive diamonds, but not in this data set. So why would you choose to show all these like empty space and this line if you don't even have data there? So we want to get rid of it and like just zoom in the part that we're interested in. Just that's a very easy arrange fix. You can just choose the range that you're interested in and you make it nicer. So like right now it's even better than it was before, and you didn't do much, but it's already better. Oh, wait, no, sorry. No, I'm sorry, Edison. So what if you want to add a categorical variable here? And since I spoiled and you already saw what I did, I used actually different colors in the same graph to show the slopes for each one of the colors that you have, and I'll show you. So in the same graph, you can actually add a categorical variable, and that's pretty easy in R, and actually it looks very nice. So you will learn all that, and the code that I will share with you will have it. So you can see here, I will go through this. You can see all the different regression lines that adjust to each one of the different colors, the diamonds that are classified with the different colors. So here you have J color, which is the most opaque, and I use color here. The most opaque is the darker here. So the concept of color is also portrayed in the graph, which I think is very nice. I hope you guys agree. Yeah, exactly. Domain knowledge, very important. So you see, this slope is a little less steep as these three that almost overlap, which are D, E, and F. This one, the I one, is sort of in between these two. So you should like these ones that increase the price faster are the ones that I think would be more important to invest in, because they have smaller carat but still higher prices, you can invest less money in them and still charge a lot of money for them. Oh, you want me to explain the dispersion of the points? Okay, so each one of these points belongs to one diamond that's in the data set. And let's say this single diamond is a 3-carat diamond, and it costs around $7,500, around that. So each one of these points is a single diamond with a carat size and the price. So that's the dispersion. That's what you're seeing. And each one of the points has also a color. In these dark ones are the J color, which is the most opaque, whereas the lighter ones belong to either D or E colors and are around here. So this is all the things that you're presenting in just one graph. And you can do this not only for color, but also for another categorical variable like cut. So in this case, you can see cut, the yellow one, which is fair, which is the worst of the cuts, is very different from all the others. So I would say from these graphs, I want you guys to think, okay, you got a result, but what are you gonna do with this result? Can you take that next step and tell the CEO, these are the diamonds that are worth it because of these? Like you can give you can be very persuasive when you have data like this. You can say, okay, so say that the D color is more expensive to buy, but you can sell it at a very high price. But if you get F, which is also here, you can actually get that diamond for less money and sell it for the same price that you would sell a diamond color D. So you should buy like the F color. F would be good because you don't have to spend much and you can gain a lot. And regarding the cut, you could just get good, or even if you want to go a little higher, you could get good or very good diamond cuts and still sell the diamonds at a very high price, which is different from the fair. Fair really goes, like, the slope is not as steep. It just it's not as good to buy the ideal diamonds. Yeah, we can draw a circle. Exactly, we could draw a circle around the, like, point out which kinds of diamonds you want to buy to sell at a higher price. Yeah. But I wanted to tell you, like, you can present this with these 5 categories, or if you identify that there's one category, which is the fair one, it's very different from other 4 categories, you can change a little bit and play with your data set to make a new column, a new feature, and you will learn how to do that. We'll show you how to do that if you join us. Make a new one that will be answering the question, is the cut fair or is it not? And for each one of the diamonds, if it's a yellow one, if it's fair, it will be a true. And if it's something else in the cut, it will be false. So if you do that and you graph this again, and now you will have the colors be, if it's fair, it will be true and it will be this teal color. And if it's false, then it will be this salmon color. So you can actually separate those two if you think this is relevant, because as you saw before, like, most of the categories behave this way and ideal behaves this other way. So you can do this, and this is meaningful. Now, this is kind of ugly, so you could actually make it much better by Karim, who told me about the opacity, playing with the opacity. Now, here's where it comes to play. If you play with the opacity, you can actually see the points that are below these salmon ones. So you make the salmon ones smaller and make them more transparent, and the teal one bigger and make them a little more opaque. So you can actually see the ones that are opaque, because obviously we have less diamonds in the category is fair than in the other is not fair category, because the false here, the not fair, is 4 categories combined. So obviously they're overwhelming this graph, and these will be even nicer to show. Okay, so that's it with this example. We're gonna move on to the next example. And I like this one, and it's a bit tricky, and it's again a spoiler here. We are gonna analyze the supplier market share. So we want to identify the largest supplier of our source materials for this business. And the data we have is actually already summarized as the supplier market share. So we have a list of suppliers and the proportion of the market share that they have. And we're, again, showing this to a multidisciplinary team. And I want you guys to choose number 1 or number 2 here. Please vote in the chat. Number 2, yes. Okay. It's overwhelmingly winning. Number 2, yeah, nobody has a vote for 1. Nobody likes a full pie. JM wants to be special. Yeah, so this actually is a tricky one, and I will tell you, I tricked you. Actually, none of them is good. I will tell you why. Pie charts are in general to be avoided, and I'll tell you why. Jane thinks about, the same way. Pie charts, So there are 2 main reasons why you don't want a pie chart. First one is, as opposed to a bar chart, our brains are not as easily, they're not used to comparing proportions in a 360-degree angle kind of setup. So if you want to compare slices of a pie, unless it's actually a cake and you want to eat it, it will be hard to tell which one is bigger than the other if they're very close in size. So here, if you look at this, it's hard to tell if supplier A, which is the teal one, is bigger or not than supplier B. And if so, how much? Is it too much bigger? No. Which one is bigger? Yeah, this is so hard. Now, supplier C, which is this little one, is it a fourth of these? Is it a third? Yeah, so our brains cannot deal with these so easily. I mean, maybe if you spend a long time, but it's hard. So if that's the case, this is better because you actually get the numbers. You can see what's the percentage, and this is better. So you guys, most of you were right in choosing this one, but still, it's the same point about the how we can't compare these amounts as easily as a bar. Now, another thing that's really ugly about pie charts is that many cases, the legends are to the right, or I mean, they're separate from the pie itself. So for each one of the slices, you have to go back to the legend and read, okay, supplier A is the green. And now green one is a little bigger than the orange one. What's the orange one? Supplier B. Wait, what was the green one? Supplier A. So you have to go back and forth between the legend and the pie. Like, why would you make someone go through this? Please don't. This is really to be avoided. So I'll show you an alternative. And it's really like, it will make you breathe. Look, it's just a simple bar chart. You can see actually which one's the biggest and what's the difference between the biggest and the second one and the third one and the little one. This supplier C looks like a third of the supplier D. Okay, this makes sense. I can compare the endpoints. This is like clear. Now, taking advantage of this chart, I wanted to tell you the bar charts don't have to be all vertical. You can actually take advantage of doing it horizontal as well. Whenever you have a very long category name that you don't want to like make horizontal and have everyone turning their head and like getting neck pain, you can actually just flip the chart and have the long name be just a line that everyone can read without breaking their necks. So you can actually play with orientation to make it easier for the audience. So yeah, this is a better way to show the supplier market share, I think. What hard type option? Well, I want to tell you one thing pie charts are good for is jokes. So they own a joke category, and this one is my personal favorite. If you Google pie charts meme or pie charts joke, you'll get endless fun. So yeah, the blue Pac-Man, yeah. There's all kinds of jokes about this, and I think most of them come from how bad pie charts are actually to show data. Okay, next, let's get serious. We want to analyze the U.S. financial demographics, and this is actually not a toy set. This is actually real data that you can get. It's out there for free. There's many sources of data available that like we can provide you with whenever you join, if you decide to join the bootcamp or any of our programs. Like you have not only access is free for everyone, but having just a list of places where you can go get the data easy, that's a good resource. Okay. So in these US financial demographics, my question was, are unemployment rates and consumption expenditures negatively correlated? And I will explain it a little more. So as unemployment grows, the people spend less. This would be my thought. Like if you don't have a job, you won't spend much money. So I thought if you look at the time, make a timeline and see what's the unemployment rate. When I see unemployment rate very high, I expect to see very low expenditure. And I thought that would be the case. But then when I did the graph, and I wanted to show the two things together to make sense of this. So I'll show you the graphs. Again, these two graphs are showing the exact same data. And I will explain this one. This is the number of unemployees in thousands in the US. And that's the line. And the bars are the personal consumption expenditures in billions. So which one of the two charts would you choose? Please type it in the chat. 1 or 2. Number 1. 1 is clearer. Yes, Jennifer. Number 2 to be individual. Okay, JM, you're funny. Joe, no, yeah, number 1. Yeah, actually, I think this is one of the cases where it's not a matter of choice, but just avoid having two y-axes. It's hard enough to have one and have people read the numbers, especially if this is lay public that you're talking to. And you don't give them much time to really digest the content, and you don't take your time going through everything in the graph. If you're not going to take the time to walk them through them, then you make it easy. You make it easy anyway. But here, having two y-axes, like what does this even mean? Personal consumption expenditures here. Okay, now what? Line or bars? Okay, PCE. Okay, I guess this is the blue one. This is the bar. Okay, so this one belongs to this one. Now, number of unemployees. Oh, I guess this is it. And it's a different orientation. So like you go like this, you go like that. You have to match legend with axis with content. This is just too complicated. Just avoid having two axes. This is much easier. You can have either the numbers here or one axis, and for the PCE, the personal consumption expenditures, and the other one has only the numbers. Like you choose how to do it, but please avoid having the two. This is not a good idea. But one thing I wanted to tell you, like when I looked at this, I was very surprised because as I told you, I was expecting that when the unemployment rates were high, we would have low expenditure, but it seems like that's not the case. Like where's people getting the money to spend if they don't have unemployment? So these things are very interesting. You can find very interesting insights from just looking at the data like this. Like you would expect as this number of unemployees is growing, the expenditure goes down, but it's not that way. The expenditure is also growing. So why is this? They don't accept the two. So FTSM is saying that they don't accept this one, number 2, in a scientific publication. Yeah, that's probably accurate. Okay, so Ryan is saying that this is caused by the financial crisis of in 2008 and 2009. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense, and you can actually now Ryan is showing domain knowledge about this. If you have this graph, you have domain knowledge. You can make a story. You can explain your data. You can explain how to make things better, how to change your strategies in your company to improve certain areas. Thank you, Jane. To you. Yeah. So Yeah, I really like that you guys are contributing to the discussion because this is making it richer. Now, let's jump to a different example. This will be the employee satisfaction in our company. And we want to explore if our strategies to improve the employee satisfaction have made a positive impact. And we made, for this experiment, we made a survey for the employees in 2014. Then we used strategies to improve the employee satisfaction and did the survey again in 2015. So we want to know if the strategies worked or not. And when we grouped the data, we got a table like this with the year, the category, and the percent of satisfaction. Now we're gonna present to the HR department to tell them your employee satisfaction strategies worked or they didn't work, and where they did and where they didn't. So there's two ways of presenting this. Thank you, Michaela. Number one and number two. So I'll explain number two here. You have all the different categories, the different departments. No, the different survey categories. And you have years 2014 and 2015, and the percent favorable answers. So it's actually a ratio from 0 to 1. So which one of these two would you choose to present these? Number one, Wilson, Eddie, number two. Okay, so number two is winning. Okay, so in this case, I will be disagreeing with some of you guys that went with number two, just in this case, because number one, if I wanted, what I want to tell the HR department is your strategies didn't work where? I think number one is better. In this number one, you have only 2 points, year 2014 and year 2015, and you get only the slope, like 2 points, only a slope graph. This is called a slope graph. And you can see quickly the slopes of each one of the categories. So you can see in peers, it almost didn't change. In culture, actually, it increased, which is good for you guys in HR. Work environment is about the same. Leadership is about the same. Rewards and recognition and perf management, they all went up. But this one, career development, it really went down. So I use color here to emphasize this one. That is the one that I want you guys in HR to focus on. So look, if I use a different color like this, so bright, you guys will be like drawing your attention to that one. This is the one I want you guys to focus your strategy next, because this is the one where you're really failing. You see, like, if you just want to give the one message, instead of having this one, which is a little hard, it's not as obvious. So I guess for the message I was giving, number one is better, because I want to focus only on that, like, this slope went down really a lot. So you guys should be focusing here. This one would be better. But there are cases where this one will be better. And I'll tell you a case. For example, if you have different departments in the company, or a few different branches in the company, and you have more data than just a single average point, you have more. You have variability in your data, and you want to show the variability, you will add some error bars, or maybe instead of making it a column, you can make it box plot, so you can get variability visualization. For example, if the career development here, this one, which was the one that we were pointing out here, has very little variability here, but a lot of variability here, you will be less confident of this result. So you can actually learn about testing your hypotheses in our bootcamp with statistical tests that will be even more compelling than just a visualization. I mean, it's really important to see the different behaviors of your data, but actually confirming the changes or the absence of a change with a statistical test is as important or more, like specifically for reports or to make actually a decision. You want to make it based on science and not pure observation. Yeah, so, okay, this is the employee satisfaction. We're almost done here, guys. Hang on. We're going for just a little extra information about the plot aesthetics. And you guys know it's not the most important point of all. It's more important that your visualization is Edison thinks that the slope graph is more difficult to understand. Well, if you're not used to them, for sure would be hard. Yeah, it's less interpretable than the bar chart for sure. But if you want to just make a point, like you can just tell the people like this line, focus on here. It's kind of obvious in comparison to the other ones. This one has a very negative slope, if that's what you want to show. Okay, going to the plot aesthetics. I just want to give you one pointer. In general, cluster is your enemy. And I want to emphasize in general because, as I told you before, if you need the things, then show them. And if you don't need them, then don't show them. They will just cluster your visualization. And we like clean, crisp lines and be able to focus on what's really important and the message you want to give. So in general, avoid the chart border, grid lines, data markers, like these data markers, axis labels. You don't want to avoid them. You want to keep them. And redundant titles. So this is another way of showing that same graph. Oh, and I didn't even tell you what that graph was. Let me go back. So this is from the baby names dataset, and it's just a record of how many people in the US was named a specific name, and it has many names. And this is per year, so it's a big data set. And this is only for, we filter this data set for the name Robin, between the years of 1930 and 1943. So in this case, we wanted to show the differences between Robin boys and Robin girls, which is some other feature that this data set has. So you can do this instead of having a label, a legend, you can label actually the categories, which makes it so much more intuitive. You got rid of the markers because you already have color here to mark which one is which of the two categories. And what else? Here we got rid of the grid lines, which is very contended. This is one of the most controversial ones because a lot of people like the grids. Many people will tell you don't use grids. And I will tell you it depends on what you want to show again. So grid lines are important, for example, if the numbers are actually relevant to you. If you want to know 1940 number of females called Robin, how many there are. So if you don't have the grid line, you can sort of estimate where this point will go in the y-axis, but it's hard. So if you want to point out a specific year and you want to know like ratio between male and female in 1941, you want a ratio or something, you want to know the numbers, then you want the grid lines because they help you and they help the target audience to like follow what you're saying. But if you only want to show a trend, like from the 30s to the 40s, both male and female robins were increased. And actually, for the last year, the males decreased a little bit. So if you just want to show this and that's your point, then this is more than enough and it will make your point and it looks nice. So this is just some advice to make your visualization nicer. But again, I emphasize it's not as important as actually framing the message, framing the question, giving the using the right data to answer, and grouping the data in the right ways, making the ratios if it's a density sort of measurement, making sums, average, maximums, showing the top, using the relevant data to answer that question, and then tailor fitting the visualization or the oral presentation for the target audience. So with that, I will open the floor for questions if you have more, and I'd be happy to answer your question, guys. Thank you so much for staying here with us and letting me guide you for a little webinar. Can approve this chart.
Any questions for Gabby?
Oh, thank you, Jay.
Yes, it was Gabby's first presentation.
So maybe there will be next, depending on your comments after this.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Just in case, thank you so much, guys, for joining. And thank you, Gabby, for your first presentation ever. And if you guys really like this presentation, we're going to have more events like in the next few weeks. So feel free to check out our website because we're going to have like a webinar section and you can see like the past events, including this one and the future ones. So next week, we're going to have from fine art major to data science engineer. So if you have like a similar background or you would like to learn more how to become like a data scientist or data engineer, feel free to join us. And questions for Gabby? They want your contact.
Is it for professional?
And if you guys really want to meet Gabby, so she's a online teacher and her next cohort is gonna start on November 8th. So feel free to like apply so that you're gonna get to know her.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, thank you so much, Carol. Thank you, everyone. This has been awesome, and I really enjoy this. I hope you guys find this helpful, and hopefully I'll see you in the future, either in some of our programs or in a future webinar.
Oh, there's an interesting questions in the Q&A section. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate learning Excel from scratch, learning Python from scratch? And since you're from biology science background, like since you are from a biology background, yeah.
Okay. This is a hard one because I knew some Excel basics. So I would say Excel would be a 3 for me. Python, maybe a 5 or 6. Yeah, Python was more, I don't know. It's hard to answer this, but because it's less graphical, Excel has a lot of tools that are graphical and more intuitive to the non-programmer user. But when you're actually going to programming, you just see code. You don't see like buttons, which makes it harder. And it's just a new language that you learn. And the programs at the academy they give you good information, like a pre-bootcamp study plan, so you can study before you start. But you can also start from the beginning with them, with us, and you can get going. Actually, I didn't know how to code before I started the bootcamp, and now I feel like I'm proficient in both R and Python. I am pretty good at it. It just takes time and a lot of effort, so you could learn either. Thank you, Edie, for your question.
So it's a small question. Is this similar to how classes will look like in the bootcamp? Like, how do you feel about it?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
So do you think the way this session went is similar to the way the classes look like?
Okay, so it's some of this class would be sort of a jumpstart kind of format. This is just the instructor giving you a presentation on some content. Usually the classes are longer. They're like 3 to 4 hours long in the residential or live bootcamp. And actually you are sitting there with the instructor coding. So you're learning and coding at the same time. So you get some practice while you actually watch and learn the content. If you're doing it online, or the IDL, which is interactive distance learning program, you have the recordings of the lectures and homeworks and other resources that you are actually going to do the coding. You could do it the same time as the lecture is going, or you could do it at your own pace. So,
yeah. Which program did you use for the data visualization for this presentation?
So for this presentation, I used R. And this is everything I used to make the graphs in this presentation, I learned from the bootcamp's content. Actually, now it's more focused in Python, so you will be able to do these same visualizations or the same kind of visualizations using Python, not only R, but you will get both.
Is there equal distribution of men and women using data science in your field of study?
No. Sadly, no. We need to close the gap. So I especially encourage women to apply and become part of the field, because we have so much to give. The same.
Yeah. And 2 more questions. How much math are you using and which level of math? Because JM is considering going back and redoing his math courses before signing for a data science bootcamp.
In the data science bootcamp, you will need more math than the data analytics bootcamp, because data science goes into machine learning algorithms in the theory, like the fundamentals of the math behind them. So you will get, you will need more math in data science bootcamp. But actually, if you sign up, you will get access to a lot of material and lectures that are introductory, and they will help you a lot with just studying the things that you need, like some linear algebra, some statistics, a little bit of calculus. You don't need the full spectrum of math to be able to understand the content, but it's good. Actually, the bootcamp will give you the information before you start, so you can actually catch up and meet everybody and start learning.
Okay, I don't think we have more questions. So if we don't have questions, I'm gonna close the room real soon. Thank you again for joining. We're gonna have another event next week. So check out our Eventbrite or LinkedIn, all the social media, and don't forget to follow us. And feel free to check out our website for our next cohorts, and you'll get a chance to meet Gabby.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, I'm gonna send everything tomorrow, okay? Bye, guys.
Bye.